what if I set my goals bigger?
It's my mentor, it's my great friend.
You want to make $1 million. You never made that before. Well, you got to believe in it, truly believe in it before you ever get it.
Tell me more.
I quit my job. She's like, what? And I'm like, yep, I'm going to chase my dreams.
Hello to everyone, Anatolii is here, and today is going to be first podcast ever on my YouTube channel. And obviously the first guest is supposed to be one of the special one, and that's for sure as it is, because the first guest, it's my mentor, is my great friend, and the person who inspired me a lot, and not only me, several people around me, made multiple 7-figure students from scratch. I know minimum 5 of them who done already over 7 figures just because of his support and his how he sharing his knowledge and how he pushing on good way all of us. And this person, like, he'll share his story first time on the camera. And actually, his name is Mark Hagar. Mark, what's up? I just want to give more introduction about you, but I just want to speak about you more. All good, man?
Yeah.
Welcome to my first episode, and just want to tell you that, guys, this person helps so many people, and he been prison guard in the past, and he'll tell you how everything has been changed on his end to become multiple 7-figure on e-commerce, and in the same time a real estate investor, which is he is pushing forward right now as hard as possible. I would love to start by having you share your story over the next few minutes at least. Like, how did you go from the scratch to 7 figures, especially your beginning, when you have changed your mindset from being a prison guard, how you became like an e-commerce entrepreneur, what have been changed?
About 13 years ago, I had got a job with working out of prison, and at that time it was a dream job of mine. And I had a newborn, my 13-year-old daughter was just born, and I started working night shift and working long hours. I was working 16-hour days every other day. I mean, I literally was in prison more than I was outside of the prison. I started realizing that, not that it's a bad thing, but, my mom had settled years ago, and that was one of the things that popped up in my head. I was working night shift, and I had nothing to do on night shift. So we weren't allowed to read magazines, books, anything. We couldn't do any of that. So all I could do was think. And, I had achieved all my goals at that point in my life, but the problem was my goals were really low and easy to hit. I had a newer BMW. I bought every single.
Which model?
Oh, it was the poor man's model. I still love the car, but it was the 3 Series, 325i, I do believe. And okay. But for me at the time, that was luxury. That was a big deal for me. And another goal of mine was to have my wife stay home with our daughter, which she's always been able to do that. And but I wasn't able to spend any time with them. And because all I did was go home, sleep, and go back to work. So I started to think, like, hey, if the BMW was the last car on my list of dream cars at the time, the motorcycle, all these things, I started to realize that I achieved all the goals I set for myself. And so I started to think, like, hey, what if I set my goals bigger? And I had said, I didn't even really know how I was going to do it. I just said, hey, I want to make $1 million. Because if you ask yourself the right questions, you start to get the right answers. And I was like, okay, how do I make $1 million? Well, when I looked at working at the prison, number one thing I noticed, or I read, was prison guards, when they retire, they usually live on average 5 years after they retire because of the stress. And
not a great prediction.
No, not at all. I didn't want that. I could see my future.
Why have you started thinking about $1 million? You got BMW. I mean, you're okay. As per your words, it was like a kind of what you were planning to achieve in life, as a majority of people. Why have you changed like your thoughts? I want to make $1 million.
Really, there was no reason. I literally just said, I want to make $1 million. I wanted to see if it was possible. I should have picked $10 million. I made a mistake because I'll tell you guys, I'm going to tell you in a minute how quick it happened. The people who had the money, they owned something. They were owners. They were owners of businesses, property, whatever it was, but they owned something. I started saving up a little bit of money. I saved up about $8,000. I always had a little bit of money saved up, but I saved up $8,000 to spend on chasing my dreams, that goal of making $1 million. So I'm driving to work at night, 45-minute drive, and I hadn't even told my wife yet that I want to quit. And I'm getting off the exits, and I told myself, if I take a right to go to work, I'm going to retire. I'm going to move up the chain. I'm going to become the best CEO I can. And then if I take a left, I'm going to quit, and I'm never going to work for somebody again. I'm going to chase my dreams, and I'm not going to do that. All right. So I pull off the exit. My hands are sweaty. I'm extremely nervous. So I stop at the stop sign. I went to take a right, and I just took a left like last second. And on my way home, I called my wife. I said, hey, I quit my job. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yep, I'm going to chase my dreams. And she was like, you crazy. So what I did after that is I went back to college for accounting and business because I knew I had no idea about money, finance, nothing. I saved that $8,000. I got the GI Bill, and I took out student loans to live off of at the time. So I started spending that $8,000 on my first business, and I did radio ads. We were so nervous. Me and my wife went and recorded radio ads, had our daughter with us. We were so nervous. We did billboards, and then we started hearing ourselves on the radio, and I thought that was cool. Our family and friends were like, hey, we hear you. And, I'm outside my comfort zone. I'm taking those steps outside my comfort zone.
I can imagine how uncomfortable it was.
We did that. I did billboards and didn't know anything about Facebook ads at the time. So ended up quitting on that business. And I started the second business, which was called Mud Thumping. When I started that business, the second one, I looked back at the first one and I realized why it wasn't successful. And it was because I quit. If I wouldn't have quit, I would have made it successful. So I told myself,
how much time you spent before you quit?
Oh, good question. I would say probably off and on 6 months. I wasn't fully committed to it. I was only doing it here and there. It wasn't like
you were learning during the journey.
Yeah, I was focused on. I was doing really well in accounting in my accounting classes. I was doing extremely well. So. And this is later on, but I realized that my attention, you got to know yourself. But I found out later on that I'm really good at putting my attention on one thing and just scaling that. When I put my attention on multiple things, I'll talk about later, then I tend to not do so well and I become stressed and the performance drops for all that. So I was putting my attention on it, but not that much because I was focused on this and I was just dabbling with it. I was just trying different things. I had no idea what I was doing. So move forward. I start the second business and I realized, hey, I wasn't successful because I quit. So I said, I won't quit until I hit my $1 million goal. That was the t-shirt business. That was Mud Thumping.
So it's e-commerce store. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. It's e-commerce. So eventually I had an online store. I started out with different types of things with Mud Thumping. Like it didn't start out as a t-shirt brand. It actually started out as like an online forum. And I had this idea I was going to make ad revenue from all the traffic, and that didn't work. So I went to an event, which I always did. That's actually, so another thing is I started in a niche. Like my hobby was I like four-wheelers, dirt bikes, and I would go riding at these events, and there's like 5,000 people or more at these events. So I'm at this one event and I'm at the top of a hill and I'm just taking a break. And by the way, this whole time, I'm nothing but thinking about ideas and opportunities to try to make more money. I was fully committed and sitting at the top of that hill. I see all these thousands of people camping. And I realized, like this brand right here is for fishermen, right? So I'm at that event and I'm thinking all these people they don't have an actual brand because they love to go mudding. That's what the brand was, Mud Thumping. And they didn't actually have a brand that represented them. Like if they walked past somebody outside of that weekend, they had Fox, they had all these other brands, but that wasn't specific for people that went mudding. So I literally started the brand for myself. I started out, I loved it myself. But anyways, so I started a Facebook page.
Oh, the t-shirt, it was with the kind of funny phrase related to the your audience, because I remember it was your habit. You just to connect your habits, an audience which you know, with your e-commerce brand, and you just start messing around with the funny phrases related to your audience. This is what's give you great success in terms of engagement with the audience.
I took a picture of a Jeep that had a quote on the back, and it was funny. It was a double meaning quote. And when I was a kid, there was these t-shirts called Big Johnson, and they were double meaning t-shirts. And I remembered that. And
can you give any kind of example for those kind of that double meaning? Or maybe you remember your winning design.
Yeah. So just back then, Big Johnson, I'll give you an example of one of them. It's poker, like, one that's sexual, and then the other one is like card game, poker in the front, and like alcohol, like liquor in the rear. As a kid, at 16, I thought it was funny. It was one of my favorite shirts. I actually just liked the design of the shirt, and the quote was funny. The quote on the Jeep, I can't exactly remember it.
Oh, on my dumping, I remember there was something about then more I drunk, the more I dirty, or something like that. The
more I drink, the dirtier I get, or something. But that picture, though, I took and I posted on my Facebook, went viral. At least for me back then, it did. It was like probably a couple 100,000, likes, and that was back. I thought that was quite a bit. Like where Facebook was back then is where TikTok is today. How you guys get the organic reach on TikTok today? Well, that's how Facebook was back then. I was like, okay, let me try to do something here. So I put it on a t-shirt. And back then, I remember this is a mudding event. So what I did is I went after that event. It was Memorial Weekend that I had the idea. I got the t-shirts made for the next event, which was Labor Day, which is this weekend right here, this day right here. I went to that this past weekend years ago. Went to the second event that they had, and I had my wife and my buddy's wife get on the four-wheelers. Now, mind you, we did white t-shirts with brown lettering because it was cheaper. It was the cheapest way to make them. When you're printing shirts, that's the cheapest way to do it. But we put them in Ziploc baggies because it's a mudding event. It's dusty, it's muddy, and they're white t-shirts. So we put them in a Ziploc baggie. They went around the campgrounds and they sold out with way under, it was not very long. They came back, they said people were buying shirts that were... So
your first shirts which you were selling, it was manually, offline.
Yeah.
Without the ads. You just understand that idea is working because of the viral post in the page.
I was just testing it.
Yeah.
I wanted to test the product. Next thing I did is I invested in more shirts, and I bought a canopy. I spent probably $100, $200 on a Walmart canopy, a table, and another $100 on a banner. And I started to go to events that were around me. I hired people. I hired hot girls, because you got to know your market. And just started booking, selling out and reinvesting that money back into it.
So it was selling well offline on the events.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's selling very well. At an event, I saw an ad and on Facebook in the news feed. I was like, what is this? So I started to look into it, and I had no idea about ads or anything like that. I'm brand new. And so the first year I made a couple six figures off the events, and by the way, I went to every event I could go to. The second year, I got rid of the events that didn't do well for me, and I only did 9 events a year, and I made on average 20 to 30 grand event. So I was doing very well from just that right there. I didn't really need the ads, but I wanted to grow to $1 million, right? I'm trying to get to $1 million. That was the goal. And the second year of my business, I found towards the end of the first year, I found Facebook ads. And then second year, I did just with ads, $900,000. At that point, I crossed $1 million.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's when ads, I saw the power of Facebook ads. And
you perfectly know, because like you already sold a lot, so you knew all the objections, you knew all the most engagement from the, I mean, what kind of keywords would be used for the copy to make this kind of t-shirt sellable online. Yeah?
I'll tell you what, man, I've never been good at ad copy, and
but you already knew what is your audience speaking about.
Yeah. So what I did is I let the t-shirt speak for me, the quotes. And that got a lot of engagement. And, ads back then were different than they are today. They're completely different. I've seen Facebook evolve from 2012, 2011 until today. And it's changed dramatically. And one thing I've always done is I paid attention to the algorithm. What does the algorithm want me to do? I didn't say, oh, I need to pull this lever or that. That's why I can not run ads for a while and I come right back in and figure it out really quick. And I don't know if maybe I'm wrong, but I've always had really good luck with it.
So you exit successfully from this business, not because it was stopped working or whatever. You sold it for your competitor, if I remember.
Yeah, he would try to copy me. I said, why don't you just buy me out? And
guys, can you hear what he did? He say, well, instead of fighting with his competitor who are trying to copy him, he just offer him a deal and exit from his e-commerce brand. I just want to ask you why you have done that. I remember like something was really disturbing you, but this is what I want you to share with the audience.
Yeah, I wasn't a very good, so I'd started another business and it was a t-shirt printing company. So I know a lot about that. And like I said, I had started 2 companies. And at that point, when I had the other, because I was doing 2 $10,000 orders a week with 2 different printing companies. I'm like, hey, I can make more money if I have more control. Plus they were slow. I had high demand. I had events going on. I had malls. I had online sales. These printers, the local guys, actually I went to a guy that was an hour and a half, 3 hours away, and we'd meet in the middle. They just couldn't keep up. And I had this bright idea, I'm gonna start my own. And it did not work out. And I actually lost about $100,000 on that business. That's why I recommend only doing one thing really, really well. So what happened was when I had the other business, I'm bouncing back and forth from 2 offices, and the people I hired for the t-shirt printing company, especially the sales guy, he was lazy, and it was my fault, not his fault, my fault for not controlling him and not firing him earlier. And I ended up losing money on that and my attention as well. And mud thumping started to go down. As soon as I shut this business down, laid them off, sold the equipment, this company blew back up. And that's when I realized, hey, don't do too many things. You want to build a good solid team and let them do as much as possible while you are the vision of the company. And this kind of brings me to why after I sold it. So while I had the company, I'm sitting here making all this money and I'm trying to help my family members, my friends, my employees. I said, let me show you how to do this. Because I wasn't thinking competitors or anything. I was like, let me just help you. Matter of fact, my competitor, the reason he was started to copy me is because he asked me one day and I was telling him everything. Like, dude, you can go to all these events with me or next to me. You can go, this is where I go. And he did that. And he started to model me, which is fine. But he had nobody at his trailer. And here I was completely full. And he tried to be me, but he couldn't be me. You can't copy that. You can't, because it's me. The brand was me, by the way. I was like, one day I'm going to help somebody that wants it. At that time, I didn't know who that was. And I was like, I wish I could help people that actually want my information. Because back then I went from, being a prison guard to millions of dollars. And I had all this information. I'm like, I know what it takes to be successful. And it's not just pulling the levers with your business. 90% of what I do is I work on you. Am I right? Am I right,
yeah.
Anatolii? When I work 100%. On somebody to try to make them successful from where they are is the person. It's not, 10% is doing, pulling the levers.
And the most, I would say, basic stuff, which is as well, I got only from a couple of people in my life, and all those people, the same like you, are more successful than me or different successful, like in different industry, but successful. The number one thing in this circle is the success in terms of what they are doing, is that basic stuff is just our mental feelings and how do we feel ourselves. Are we focusing on negative part, which is always happening in the business? Always negativity is going on left and right, because problems, you cannot run the business without the problems. If you think that you jump in e-commerce or crypto, whatever, any kind of industry, and you're going to be jump on it and it will be solve all your problems and it will be money printing machine by just pressing the button on the ads, it doesn't work that, unfortunately, that way, because otherwise not one person would be successful, would be 99% of people would be successful in that business. So when I start, because of you, focusing on the positive side and focusing on my mental feelings, everything was switched over upside down. Seriously, like even my first winner, it was about when you were sharing the screen. I remember back 2018, guys, Mark was having, and I believe he will come to that in this point, that he started like his like mastermind for people sharing the screens with the ad accounts, and he was talking about the ad accounts, but there was so much about the exactly mental feelings and exactly how you have to, people are like crying, oh, it doesn't work, oh, Facebook, get this and that. And Mark was explaining for hours, the trainings was hours, that how you have to react on that XYZ situation. And you know what? Almost nobody would care. And I was listening, like I was obsessed. I was like, yeah, tell me more. And because of that, it helps me out, because I was not only about the hacks and tweaks on Facebook, I was about everything what you would say, because everything what you were saying, it was work out and it was making sense.
After I sold the company, I took about a year off. I was actually retiring. I was like, I'm good. I don't want to do anything. I worked almost 5 years straight, every day, 7 days a week, traveling. I was able to spend more time with my family. They were with me and we had employees, but I was constantly thinking about my business.
How did you feel after sell the business? You sold the business and 1 year you just like doing nothing.
What I did is I bought cars, four-wheelers. I had hobbies, right? And it wasn't enough. I kept trying to fulfill something. And what it was is I wasn't creating anything. I didn't have any challenges in front of me. And that's when I had the idea, maybe I should start trying to help other people. And that's where this company came from, which is Mentorupted. And obviously mentor is in there. And the rupted part is from disrupted. It's a shorter word for disruption. And what I mean by that is when I was in college, my business teacher was taught how to teach business. He didn't own a business. So he was teaching me business and he was taught to teach business. And it didn't make sense to me. So here I am. I'm like, I want to teach people what I've done, right? All this information I had, I knew I could help somebody.
May I ask one question before we continue? Like from in the prison, you've been as a prison guard, you start reading the books and you realized and you made this kind of goal to yourself to achieve $1 million to see that it's possible. And after that, you create one business, failed, second business sold out for like great financial wealth for yourself and your family, and had the break. During all this journey, obviously you were not the same person as you were at the beginning when you just made the decision to make $1 million to see if it's possible. In your opinion, what was the biggest challenge in the mindset changing, or what was the real like feelings, what has been changed in your personal mental life during that kind of period of time? Because I believe that, like, I know what has been changed in my end, and I know it's a big insights when you are going through this process.
So two things: who I hung out with, I got rid of the dead weight, and number two, being super obsessed with that idea. So thinking about it all day long. I remember I was like, I cannot, because I started out on my side hustle a couple hours a night. When I used to watch TV before I would go to bed, I took that time, stopped watching TV, and I started to work on my business. And I remember saying, I cannot wait until the day that I can think about my business all day long. And that was hard. It was hard for me to put in a couple hours a day, let alone get to the point where I'm obsessed. By the time I realized I was thinking about my business all day long, I'd already crossed $1 million. And that was why I crossed $1 million, because I was able to get so obsessed with that. I removed, which was hard, I removed the friends that I thought were friends. By the way, I had no support when I had this idea. Zero support from friends and family. They all thought I should kept my great job. And I was crazy. What's this idea? What's this t-shirt brand that you have? But now today, I believe, it seems that when I say I'm going to do something, most people believe I'm going to do it, because I've been saying it for 13 years. I'm going to do this, and I go do it. The problem was,
you prove them that it's working.
I took the lack of support and it made me mad. And I took that energy and I made myself successful. I just want to prove them wrong, really. And it helped me. But the problem was I was telling the wrong type of people.
By the way, I didn't fix one important stuff, I believe. So that not just turn off the TV. Guys, someone better sitting like, hey, I'm not watching TVs. Because nobody nowadays watching TVs. Everyone watching YouTube. But the content's supposed to be right, because maybe you're focusing on some shitty comedies and news or the negativities in YouTube. So just catch my word. It's not about the TV. It's about content which you're consuming. And people who is around this. What was your first students about? Advertising or something else?
My first student, I do believe, was Noah. He was hungry. He was 17, super obsessed. He actually worked for me. He asked to work for me. He's like, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Well, the guy was a killer salesperson, and he started out mowing grass. He was just hungry. And then we're having these calls about the sales, and he's like, hey, can you coach me on Facebook ads? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, we're already on the call. I'll just start teaching about it now. So he had the drive. He had the ambition, because a lot of people will come in and try to get coached by me, and they'll do it for a couple months. If it doesn't work out in a couple months, I'll quit. That's not how I do it. I set a goal and I say, I'm going to do it until I get it. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to get it no matter what. You'll start to achieve things. And one thing I'll tell you, I noticed in the past is, or just through this journey of mine, you get what you want. We always get what we want. You ever notice that people sometimes you just get by. You always just get by. And, so what I recommend is just, if this is where you want things, you just need to increase what you want. That's why I said $1 billion, because I know $1 million is easy to hit now. Why? Because that's a habit. It's easy. Like, once you do things so many times, it's easy to replicate that. So now I got to go and say $1 billion. And honestly, $1 billion doesn't seem too crazy.
You know, I have a perfect example about like in our team, we have every single year like a task to do. What are you planning to earn this year? How much money you want to make? Analyze your past year and just make the prediction what you are going to achieve. And there is so many times that people are undervaluating what they can achieve. They make in the last year, let's say 100K last year, and they make it 120 this year. And this is what I'm always like, hey, wait. Yeah. You are saying that you during the calls, you're telling me that you want to make it like 20K a month. All the year you were telling me that it's your goal. And when I'm telling you what you're planning to achieve this year, you put into me like at 8 to 10K a month. Where is your goal? 20K. Oh yeah, but I'm looking realistically. Wait. You're put what you like, make that I made the task for you, make your realistical goals in terms of your wishes. So the guy made 240 because I said to him, it's your goal. It was your whole year goal, 20K a month. Like make the goal 240 and you'll achieve at least 150, 180, 170, but it will be more than it's 120. Maybe you'll achieve more than 240. We don't know. But if you're going to be focusing on what you want to achieve realistically, or actually it looks unreal to you because you made only 100, you're going to be able to achieve much more than you put into yourself like 20% growth. That's the same way like using this practice for the company growth. And the first year we will grow like 10x 4x, and nowadays we like kind of, hopefully it's going to be around 2x, 2.5, but still we are growing because goals are so high that we are not able to go lower. And if we're going lower, we're still going to be much higher if we would predict, let's say, 20% growth.
You have to be almost insane to be an entrepreneur. And here's why I think so. You have to believe in something that's never happened before. So let's say you want to make $1 million. You never made that before. Well, you got to believe in it, truly believe in it before you ever get it. So by believing and then taking action. So you take an idea. That was one of the biggest things that changed my life. Mud thumping was an idea in my head that I turned into a reality, into $1 million company. And that blew my mind that I had the power to take anything out of my, whatever I can think, and turn it into a reality by taking action consistently long enough to make it a reality for everybody else to see. And it's insane. So you have to be insane almost to be an entrepreneur. So what I do when I start a business is I like to model other people. And I came into space, I didn't know how to sell coaching or any of that. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I started seeing that a lot of people sold courses, did a webinar. So I started to do that, and I started selling courses, and I noticed, now remember, I started this business not to make a bunch of money. At the time, I didn't care about making money.
Yeah, $47 a month.
Yeah, I just wanted to help people. But I had to make something because I was going to spend money on ads. Yeah, so I started selling courses. I noticed that people would buy the course, but they weren't watching it. And that wasn't my goal. I wanted to get results. So I started to, that's when Noah came in, and I'd already built up a little bit of a group for selling the course because some people were joining the group. And he went in there and started selling my one-on-one coaching. And that's when I started to have better results. The more control I had over people, the better result I got. So I started to do more coaching, and actually at that point I was pretty much booked out. I'm like, man, I can't take any more, So I started actually from him working with me to me coaching him. And then I think at that point is when I got you on. I think it was pretty early on. And yeah. And that's when I started having a lot better results with people compared to the course. And yes, I could have scaled the course and just made money and sat back and did nothing, but that's not why. I don't know if you guys know this, but I truly love coaching. I'm like, when you're a student of mine, you can talk to me 7 days a week. That's why I don't overbook anymore. I only have so many students because I won't take more than that because I'll get too busy, and I don't want to be a piece of crap coach. So I want to be able to give you guys attention.
If you are already in the business or doing whatever stuff and studying from people, I've been in several masterminds and get so many golden nuggets, so much value, so much.
Heck, I get good nuggets from him in these masterminds.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that even during the journey 17, 18, 2020, 19, I got so many like really outstanding outbrain knowledge outside. But all those masterminds, it's a group coaching where like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever it is, 3 months, you just like going through the PDFs and kind of implementation of things with the person. There is awesome knowledges, it's awesome. But when courses ended, they stop talking to you that much or at all. And only if you start making results for reviews, they becoming your best friends and, hey, yeah, make a post, buddy, yes, we are the best friends, let's do it. But when the difficulties are there, they're quitting on you and they like stop making attention to you. And it's always the same, always. It's not making them bad people. It's just the way of how their program it works, what they're focusing on. And that's it. With Mark, I've been always on the failure side so many times, not always because all the business is about fail in my end. I was learning on the fails, and he was always next to me to explain how to deal with that. And it was not 2 weeks, 3 months, 4 months program. And it wasn't something which is like he opened PDFs and explaining to me step by step the prepared speech, what to do. It was the life experience, and he was matter when he was sharing to me the knowledge, he was matter that I will be implemented, and he wasn't allowed me to continue if I didn't implement. And there was even tasks like fire someone, which is, it's the one of the hardest things for me to fire someone. And if you won't do that, I'll get rid of you, because he want not me, other students, follow what he's saying, because it's the right way in his opinion. And if I have another opinion, if I explain and it will be reasonable, he will listen and agree. But from the beginning of the journey, I never agree, never make any arguments. I was just following and squeezing myself to implement it. So this kind of what Mark is doing, it's the life coaching about like who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to deal with the problems. Not like, here is the 6 weeks program, okay, go kill it, and responsibility on your shoulders.
Well, it takes time. Success, like, you get better over time. We make small improvements every week, and over time you start to get better.
And plus, to say to the guys as well that it was really on your end, not about money. Mark was charging me for a couple of years $297. $297.
My first seven-figure student was paying me $300 a month.
Yeah, and I was like, it wasn't smart from my end, but we were kind of close enough that I said, Mark, I feel that you are like undervaluating your service. He said, yeah, I know, but it's fine. It's not about the money only. I have a question to you, which is kind of final question to our interview. Like, if you have to start everything from scratch, your journey, like right now,
no money.
Right now you move to real estate. Whole your journey, where you're going through to, and what you will pass. Would you do that things differently, or you gonna be just repeating the same journey if you have to do that again?
Yeah, I would take a shortcut, and I would actually probably focus more on real estate at the very beginning, and that's it. So there's a couple different types of income. There's your regular income that you work for, earned income. There's capital gains, which is like stocks, or you sell something, you gain. And then there's passive income, which is real estate. Taxes, I paid a lot of taxes in the last 13 years. And earned income is the highest taxed, and you actually have to work for it. It's a hustle, right? You have earned income.
Yeah, and I know that.
If I was to start over, I would go and take a shortcut right to passive income. And I would put all my attention on that. That's what I would do. So that's actually where I'm going now. And I'm going to be transitioning all my students over that way as well. And that's the end chapter that I can tell for me in my life is I'll be spending the rest of my life acquiring assets, and that's it. And enjoying the freedom.
And at the end, I want us to ask additional bonus questions. It's more like kind of a funny one, strange one, but just to understand your personal internal mind about this kind of questions. So first one, if in the world internet would be shut down, all the electricity would be shut down, but all the people still alive, how would you deal with the business? How would you run it?
Are you talking about like coaching?
Anything. I mean, right now we are talking like I'm in
organic.
New York. You're like organic, no social medias, no internet.
Yeah,
nothing.
I would go back to organic. So I would go back to getting into, just look at the old ways of advertising. So I would go back to billboards, radio, getting into stores, going to events, because those events are not going to go away. People are going to get bored, and actually those events will probably get busier. But even then, I wouldn't even do that. I'd just go into real estate all the way, 100%, because people need somewhere to live. That's another thing, is not just taxes. There's so many more benefits to real estate. The teams, because you got to build a team, right? You got a great team, but it's easier to build a team, I believe, in real estate because all the people are already there. Your bankers, your real estate agents, your managers, your title, everybody's there. And also the product, you got to sell a product. You got to learn to market and get really good at advertising, copywriting, all that stuff. Well, with real estate, the product is a rental. There is a high demand. I just recently had a property go up for rent, and there was probably in 2 weeks, I think, at least 200 plus people that were begging me, please let us rent that house from you. Yeah, so there's a high demand. So
okay. In case if the world becomes super crazy, who in terms of weird things happening, who would you prefer to become, dog or cat?
Oh man, probably the dog.
Why?
Yeah, because he's always on the hunt, and the cat, he's like, the cat's being lazy. Cats are lazy.
So. I was expecting that. Anyway, yeah, it's just for fun. First of all, Mark, where guys can find you? Anyway, I will edit all the information down, but just right now, like, what's the best place they can reach out to you, follow your real estate journey?
Yeah, so on Instagram, CEO Minterrupted. And yeah, you can just follow me there. I do lives about a couple times a week, just updating my journey on real estate and just teaching you guys what I'm doing. That's it.
Awesome. And I believe that separately later on, guys, please leave the comments down and say if you'd like to listen more about real estate journey, which Mark is doing now. He already acquired several deals in terms of real estate and going to scale now that with the freaking unbelievable way of no cost buying deals in real estate with the cash flow. If you would like to listen about that, to hear that, just write down in the comments, please. Share with us real estate story or whatever. Tell to Mark, share real estate. Just write down in the comments, subscribe, make the turn of your bell, because we have more and more interviews with the person like Mark. We have several people right now who are going to be joining us. But about the Mark journey, I believe we're going to be jumping into another call regarding real estate, because Mark was telling me that he'll love to share that. And I would love to hear, I know that already a lot, but I want to hear that in the details. So guys, if you want to hear that, just comment under the video, and we will record it as fast as possible. It was awesome to have you in my first YouTube show where we are sharing the successful stories with successful people, and really enjoying that. Thank you so much, Mark.
I appreciate you having me, and I'm excited to see your future podcast, man.